Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the incredible universe of My Hero Academia, a world filled with powerful quirks, larger-than-life heroes, and villains that strike fear into the hearts of even the strongest. One of the best things about this series is how it explores the idea of power, how it's used, how it's misused, and how it can completely change a person's destiny. Now, we all know MHA has some insanely overpowered characters. These aren't just your average students or random background heroes. These are the game changers, the ones who can level cities, reshape society, or inspire generations just by existing. In today's video, we're gonna break down the most OP characters in My Hero Academia, explore their powers, their backstories, and why they've become such unforgettable figures in anime. So buckle up, because we're about to go plus ultra. Shoto Todoroki, the dual prodigy. When you think of natural talent in My Hero Academia, Shoto Todoroki is the first name that comes to mind. Born to Endeavor, Japan's #2 hero, Shoto was engineered, literally, to be the perfect weapon, with his left side producing blistering flames, and his right side unleashing freezing cold. Todoroki is essentially two powerhouses rolled into one. What makes his story so compelling isn't just his abilities, but his struggle to accept them. At first, Shoto rejected his father's fire because of the trauma he endured as a child, but thanks to Midoriya's encouragement during the sports festival, Shoto finally embraced his full potential. That moment was one of the most emotional turning points in the entire series, because it wasn't just about power, it was about healing. Fast forward to his fight with Dabi, his estranged brother, and we see Shoto's growth in action. That battle wasn't just sibling rivalry, it was destiny colliding head on. Shoto proved that he wasn't just Endeavor's son, but his own man, wielding his quirk for the sake of others. With both fire and ice under his control, Shoto Todoroki has the kind of versatility most heroes can only dream of. Dabi, the blue flame of tragedy. On the other side of that family conflict stands Dabi, formerly Toya Todoroki. If Shoto represents balance, then Dabi represents destruction. His blue flames aren't just visually striking, they burn hotter than almost any other fire in the series. But here's the tragedy, his own body can't handle it. Dabi's story is one of resentment and revenge. Abandoned by his father, presumed dead after his flames consumed him, he returned with nothing but hatred in his heart. What makes him so terrifying is that his power is fueled by this rage. Every time he unleashes his fire, it's like watching someone burn themselves alive just to hurt their enemies. And that's what makes him dangerous. He doesn't care about survival. He's a man who's already lost everything, and that gives him a kind of freedom that heroes can't easily fight against. If his body had been compatible with his flames, there's a very real chance Dabi would have surpassed Endeavor himself. Even without that, he's one of the most unpredictable and devastating villains in the story. Star and Stripe, America's symbol of power. Now let's head across the ocean to talk about one of the most hyped characters in the series. Star and Stripe, America's #1 hero. When she entered the story, she instantly made an impact. Her quirk, New Order, is one of the most broken abilities in all of MHA. By simply declaring a rule, she could bend reality to her will. For example, she could say, "The air will not move," and suddenly the wind itself would freeze. The possibilities were nearly limitless. What makes her so incredible is how she used this power with discipline and strategy. She didn't just rely on brute strength, she planned, calculated, and fought with the experience of a true veteran. When she faced off against Shigaraki, it wasn't just a battle of powers, it was a clash of ideologies. Even in defeat, Star and Stripe left her mark by embedding her quirk with one final condition that made it incompatible with All for One's stolen powers. She ensured that Shigaraki would suffer long after she was gone. That level of sacrifice elevated her from just being a strong character to being one of the most impactful heroes in the series. She's proof that even in death, a true hero's will can shake the foundations of evil. Izuku Midoriya, the evolving prodigy. Of course, we can't forget about our protagonist, Izuku Midoriya, also known as Deku. His journey is the heart of My Hero Academia. He started as a boy, born without a quirk in a world where that practically made him an outcast. But his courage and determination caught the eye of All Might, and with that, he inherited wanted One for All. At first, controlling One for All nearly destroyed his body, but Deku's growth is about persistence. He pushed himself again and again until he not only mastered the core ability, but also awakened the powers of previous users. Suddenly, Deku wasn't just super strong, he had multiple quirks at his disposal. From Black Whip to Float, from Smokescreen to Danger Sense, each new ability expanded his arsenal and made him a more versatile hero. What makes Deku so special isn't just his power, though, it's his heart. He doesn't fight to destroy villains, he fights to save people, even those who've fallen deep into darkness. His battle against Shigaraki is proof of this. He pushes himself to the edge, not just to win, but to reach out to someone who seems beyond saving. That's the essence of Deku's strength. He's not just a powerhouse, he's a hero in the truest sense. Gigantomachia, the living weapon. Now let's talk about Gigantomachia, the literal giant of destruction. If All for One is the brain behind villainy, then Gigantomachia is the muscle. He's not just big, he's been genetically modified and loaded with multiple quirks to make him nearly unstoppable. During the Paranormal Liberation War, Gigantomachia tore across Japan, leveling entire cities with nothing more than his sheer size and strength. And here's the scary part. This was while he was under the effects of an anesthetic. Even sedated, he was practically a walking natural disaster. What makes him especially dangerous is his unwavering loyalty to All for One. He doesn't think, he doesn't question, he just obeys. That combination of raw power and blind devotion makes him one of the deadliest forces in the villain roster. Stopping Gigantomachia isn't just about beating him in a fight, it's about outlasting a storm that seems impossible to weather. Tamura Shigaraki, the face of decay. Now we come to one of the most complex and terrifying villains in anime, Tamura Shigaraki. His decay quirk alone is horrifying. At first, it only worked on what he touched directly, but as his powers evolved, he could disintegrate entire areas without even making contact. Imagine a battlefield where just standing nearby him means death. That's Shigaraki at full power, but his quirk is only part of his story. Shigaraki's past is tragic. Born into a family where his father despised quirks, he accidentally unleashed his decay on his loved ones. That trauma twisted him into the person we see today, and All for One exploited that pain, molding him into a weapon. When Shigaraki inherited more powers from All for One, he became something beyond human, a hybrid monster with nearly limitless destructive potential. His battle against Deku is one of the most intense clashes in the series, not just because of the stakes, but because of the emotions behind it. Shigaraki isn't just fighting for domination, he's fighting because he's been broken by a world that never gave him a chance. That combination of tragedy and overwhelming power makes him one of the most unforgettable villains in modern anime. All for One, the mastermind of evil. Every great story needs a great villain, and All for One is exactly that. Unlike Shigaraki, whose power is raw destruction, All for One is calculated, cunning, and terrifyingly versatile. His quirk allows him to steal and stockpile abilities, creating an arsenal of powers that makes him nearly impossible to predict. What makes him especially frightening is how he uses these powers strategically. He doesn't just overwhelm enemies with brute force. He manipulates, deceives, and always has a backup plan. His relationship with Shigaraki is proof of this. He doesn't see Tamura as a successor. He sees him as a vessel, a tool to extend his own existence. All for One's battles with All Might remain some of the most iconic moments in anime. Watching two titans clash, the symbol of peace versus the symbol of chaos, perfectly captures what My Hero Academia is all about. He's not just a villain, he's the embodiment of fear itself. All Might, the symbol of peace. And finally, we have the man who started it all, All Might, the symbol of peace. At his peak, All Might was untouchable. His mastery of One for All made him the ultimate hero, capable of defeating the most dangerous villains with nothing more than his fists and his unshakable smile. But what made All Might legendary wasn't just his strength, it was the hope he inspired. People believed in him, and that belief kept society from collapsing under the weight of villainy. His very presence was enough to keep criminals at bay. Even when his powers began to fade, All Might never stopped being a hero. His final battle against All for One was a passing of the torch, a moment that reminded the world why he was the greatest. He might not have the muscle anymore, but his influence lives on through Midoriya and the next generation. All Might isn't just the strongest, he's the heart of My Hero Academia. And there you have it, the most overpowered characters in My Hero Academia. From Shoto's dual elements to Shigaraki's decay, from Star and Stripe's godlike new order to the unstoppable force of All for One, each of these characters has shaped the story in unforgettable ways. But beyond their powers, what really makes them stand out is their humanity. Dabi's flames are fueled by tragedy, Shigaraki's decay by trauma, and Deku's growth by hope. Even All Might, the strongest of them all, showed us that true power isn't about never falling, it's about always getting back up. So here's the question for you. Who do you think is the most OP character in My Hero Academia? Thanks for watching, and remember, go beyond plus ultra.